Hi, my name is Dana Citron. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Orbital Fire Cybersecurity, and I'm so happy to be hosting our Women Leaders in Manufacturing podcast, sponsored by LIMEP, Long Island Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And we are here today at beautiful Stony Brook University within the Office of Research and Innovation. I'm so happy to introduce our guest today, Nicole McGuigan. She is the Financial Controller and Regulatory Compliance for Concept Components. Nicole, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks, Dana. I'm excited to be here.
I am so glad. So before we get started, I was hoping you can just tell us a little bit about Concept Components.
So Concept Components is a job shop. We work with suppliers for the aerospace and defense industry. We are an AS91 facility, and we're located in Bohemia, New York.
That's awesome. Well, I was so interested to see that Concept Components is a family business.
Yes.
Now, your path has been an interesting one to get there. You know, you transitioned from entertainment finance to precision manufacturing. What surprised you most about the manufacturing industry?
Growing up, I just saw the guys in the back making parts, and I just assumed it was, just oil and parts and chips, and I never really understood how much innovation and keeping things modern, how important it is, and just following all the regulations. I never understood the whole picture about how important that is. And then I never really understood how important the employees were. They're all, skilled, guys out there, and they are probably the greatest assets of the company. They're really hard to find, and I never realized how important the human aspect was as much as the machine. The machine can only do so much, but the guys out there are really the bread and butter of the company.
I love that. And, being a family business, when you did make that transition to come in, what was that like? I know people talk a lot, and we've had a lot of guests here that are part of family businesses.
Yes. Well, my dad and I, we are very alike, and we both, probably 5 years ago, if you would have asked us if we would be working together, we would have said, yeah, you're crazy, no way. And the first year was definitely a very tough year. I got involved with Concept because, I'll just go back a little bit. I was working, like you said, in accounting for 10 years. I was doing taxation and high net worth individual, like wealth management. And I just turned 30, COVID just started, and I said to myself, is this something I want to do like for the rest of my life for another 30 years? And I was kind of questioning that. And at the time, my dad was, for many years was not, he had to get AS 9100 and ISO certificates. And he, had great quality, and he was pulling his feet, did not want to do that. And no one really had the time in the office to do it. So my dad asked me, he said, can you come work for a year for me, get these projects done for me, and, then figure out what you want to do. Maybe you want to go back to school, go to graduate school. I said, okay, we'll do it for 1 year. And during this 1 year, my dad's controller, who was there with him for 20 plus years, she needed to retire suddenly. And he's like, well, I'm going to need you to help me get through this transition now too. So I said, of course, this is what I do. I said, let's see how it goes. And, I'll at least get you up and running, and we can hire someone. And then before you know it, it's 2025, and I'm here now doing more than ever, and I'm doing podcasts about manufacturing. So it's definitely not, but it was when starting the beginning, he was, very, I'm going to make it sound like he's 80 years old. He's young, 6 years old, but he was very old school. He'd been doing this for 32 years. So I wanted to come in with all these new ideas, and it was like pulling teeth in every battle for the first year. But now it's just like, it's like night and day with him. And he's just so much more into modernization and, just all that stuff. So now it's pretty good for a daughter and dad working environment.
That's great.
Yeah.
And to be fair, those processes that you went through, those are big mountains to achieve.
Right. No, yeah, it's definitely a job in itself. And, everyone, we're very lean running, in the front, the front office. So everyone has their job, and this was not going to be able to get done unless we actually hired a full-time consultant or, someone else stepped in. So it needed to be done for, the defense contractor work. So
yeah, understood.
Yeah.
So how is your background coming in entertainment and tax? How has that given you an edge or prepared you for this?
So the so my accounting and finance background is actually really great because I'm good at budgeting and I understand that, we have to make certain profits and, our EBITDA numbers. And that was, that's my strength, definitely. And then, the tax background in me, I was always like researching and like finding up like, new tax laws and cases and trying to like, figure out loopholes and things like that. So that type of brain was able to go right into the compliance stuff and, and working in with high net worth individuals, and they have a lot of different personalities, and they have a lot of like, this has to get done now. Some of them are kind of they need a lot of hand holding. So that kind of like ability for me to get on ad hoc projects right away and just fix things. That's what I kind of like thrive in. So that with concept is a lot of what I do too, like special projects and things like that. So those qualities I think were had made me successful in this job.
We got you prepared for this.
Yeah, exactly. The finance stuff is the finance stuff, but the other jobs, like the special project and stuff, I think being in like a fast-paced accounting kind of like environment got me ready for that.
Do you think it surprised you how many similarities or parallels you ended up?
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, personalities across industries are the same, and like I said, like I didn't know how much regulation was in, especially in aerospace and defense. I mean, it makes sense now because it's aerospace and defense, but I never thought of it that way. But yeah, like that type of my brain, just that's the accountant in the very, black and white. So this is perfect for me as well.
That's great. No, it makes a ton of space. And kind of along with that, in a fast-paced defense environment, how do you balance or keep, financial rigor and quality aligned?
So every day I have, certain checkpoints that I like to check. I look at the numbers and I'm ensuring that I'm not losing the financial picture of the company. And what I do is I collaborate with the production and the quality teams to make sure like my financial, decisions are aligning with the operational work. And, it's very data driven, but that data driven keeps me anchored and, helps me, understand where we need to be in cost of goods sold, and where we can, expand expenses. And, if it even makes practical sense with the people in the departments, does quality need more assets? Does, do we got a new machine? Like that's all important. So you kind of have to, see what's out there, talk to production, talk to the quality people, and then also say, okay, I have this budget. I have this EBITDA number I'm striving for. How can we make it work without, losing our quality and our, reputation, and then also making money. So that's what I have to constantly keep in the back of my mind.
No, there's a lot to juggle. And as you wear that many hats, I'm sure it's really critical. I know you started at the very beginning talking about how people really think that to be able to collaborate with them and really understand, they know they're part of their business best, right?
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. These people, they're, like I said before, our company, we do, about probably $8 or $9 million a year in sales, but we have like, we're very lean. We don't have many people in each department. So everyone has, their hands, like quality guy, he's out there expecting parts, but he's also up there, helping me with AS 9100 audits. The production, we're very tightly knit. So there's no like middle layers. We all meet, we all talk, and that's how we get things done.
Straight.
Yeah.
And it's what makes it more fun at work, isn't it? When everybody's aligned and kind of working together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely a very good environment to work. Hardly anyone that's really left it since I've been around this company since I was literally a baby. My mom used to take me on deliveries with her in the baby chair because my dad didn't have money for like a secretary or driver. And I've been around with some of these people. They have a lot of people I've known have retired. This has been a family business, and it's grown from like one machine in my parents' house to now we have like 30 machines. So yeah, it's good.
It's a real success story.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Now with that How do you think financial function can really influence company culture, especially around compliance and regulatory challenges?
So with a manufacturing company, especially precision components, sometimes prioritizing profit over quality in the company culture can be the reason your company is not successful and fails. And cutting costs on like materials and processes and not getting the best equipment could save money in the short term, but at the long term, it's not creating a good, sustainable business. And like I said before, the employees are one of the most important parts, if not the most important asset of the company, and making sure they're paid well and they get raises and they have good conditions to work in. That's what creates a good morale and low turnover and creates people who have expertise and, are so valuable to us. So it's important not to always look so much at the numbers and say, where can we cut? Overall, I think it's a holistic approach. You have to have people who are happy working for you, who are skilled, and you have to make sure you're having quality products and not, cutting corners and parts like that. And, in order to be sustainable and to keep growing like we have, you have to have the highest standards and the best skilled employees. And, of course you don't want to spending to go off the wall, but you have to be realistic and, like I always say, profits over people, or, you don't want to lose your quality. We are a gold tier, platinum tier for some companies where that's applicable. And, we're always known for on-time delivery and quality. And, you can't be being cheap on things when, they always say garbage in, garbage out. You got to just keep, that's the most important thing. And like I said, keeping the employees happy, the morale, that's the culture of our company. And, everyone at our company, we know when someone had a baby. We know if they're getting married. We all, we always say every single person pretty much would be comfortable going to each other's house for dinner. It's a good environment. And that, like I said, I go to so many events just for hiring people, and there's no one young or anything trying to get into the industry. And the people we have are just, like I said, they're great assets. So that's important to us.
Yeah. So based on just what you said, especially, makes me think about when you're at these job fairs and there aren't a lot of young people
Right.
or young women that are, looking to come into them. What would you say to encourage young women? Why is this a great space for them to consider, and what are those opportunities?
So I would say if you're, if they want to go into a technical background, such as machining, I mean, go for it. That wasn't my path, but there are plenty of jobs in engineering, and compliance and quality that, they could definitely use technical skills if they're in that mindset, and then, work on leadership skills. And, they don't have to start by becoming the manager of a department. You could start taking on like small leadership roles in your company. Go, be a team leader for a project. Go help your peers out. And that can give you the momentum to become a leader in the company. And that shows, you have good initiative. And then on top of that, you have to be an expert in your trade. Like you want to be someone that they go, okay, so and so knows this really well, because then you have respect and then you can lead a team. So you need to work on your soft skills, which are like your leadership skills and people being a good leader. We also have to learn your technical skills. So get your certifications. Take, if you have an opportunity through your job to go, learn something new, do it, because the more you know, the more you have more expertise, the more valuable you come into the company. And, if you keep your hand in a lot of different things like I do, you make yourself very valuable. So that's important. But don't be discouraged. You have to become the manager the first day. You got to, you have to start from somewhere. I mean, I started up as like a little, staff accountant working in a cube, and now, it's 10 years later, you have to just work your way up and you'll get there.
Yeah. And I find that really those leadership skills, you can be a leader in your small group. That's not a leadership,
Yeah, exactly. You don't need the title per se.
You don't need the title.
Yeah.
Right. But that kind of gives you the opportunity to grow and to
learn.
Be respected.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's great. And what I love also is I think you're a great example of if you don't go down an engineering path, although of course we think that's great for women.
Exactly. Yeah.
but there's still room. Manufacturing is such a vibrant and important sector that they can be an accountant, they can be in management, they can be in HR. There's so
Yeah,
many roles
there's
for
so
them.
many roles. And honestly, I go to a lot of events and it's 80% male and like very, very minimal amount of women and not that many young women. I always feel like I stick out. And, it's definitely a good, a good career path. Like, don't be discouraged because it's defense and aerospace and things like that. Like, there's definitely opportunity for women. Yeah.
That's right. And it's only, it's not going anywhere.
No, no, exactly. I mean, just alone, like I was the other day at a submarine event and, we're building all and the whole new sub fleet. So it's, it, especially defense, where, you're always constantly having to keep, whatever stuff you have maintained and updated. So there's always a need, especially in the defense industry, even if we're not in a war, you constantly have to keep your arsenal stocked and ready to go. So you're constantly buying. It's like a never ending like a process, I guess. Everything gets phased out. So it's a good opportunity, I think, that industry for sure.
I think that's great. And well, Nicole, I know that you're also part of ADAPT,
Yes.
as I am, and I think that's another important organization
Yes.
for defense and aerospace manufacturers in Long Island. And we really appreciate how ADAPT really supports women,
Yeah.
in these fields. And I'm so glad that you're part of that
Yeah.
group as well.
Yeah, I recently joined, actually through Amy. She got my contact information because I worked on with her on getting a grant for a cybersecurity grant.
That's good.
Yeah, so I've been going to the events and I she definitely got me to go to get involved, which I'm very grateful because my father, like I said, he wasn't big on going looking for new opportunities. He was, he wasn't a salesman, that type of thing. And I'm trying to do more networking for the company. And yeah, and she was able to get me to get involved with that because it's going to get me very, very scary. I don't know anyone there. I'm by myself, but she, was able to arrange, different events that I felt comfortable with, other women going to. So
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. So I think it's a great program.
Yeah, agreed. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. It was such a pleasure talking
Yeah, it
with
was
you.
nice talking to you, Dana.
It's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.